Hey everyone, I'm Melanie from Streamlined Legal, where we help law firms get the most out of their practice management software. Tonight, I am here to talk to you about Clio Grow, and specifically, we're trying to figure out if we should assign matters to ourselves or to other team members in Clio Grow. And it's not as easy as it might seem, actually. Assigning them's easy. Whether or not we should, maybe not. So let's dive into the software and see if we can take a look together. So in our Clio Grow window, you may be familiar with the idea that when I open a new matter or do a quick intake, there is a section here that allows me to assign this matter to a particular person. And by default, it has myself or whoever it is that's starting that matter or doing that quick intake. And so the question is, do we leave that? Do we add someone else? Who do we assign to this matter? And so let's talk a little bit more about what it means to be assigned to a matter. And one of the really great benefits, I think, of being assigned to a matter is that I can now take my Clio Grow screen and come over here to filter, and I can select myself or any other team member and filter that pipeline for only the cases that they're involved in, right, or they're assigned to. And so that's a really nice feature, because if I'm just trying to follow up on the files that I'm responsible for following up on, that's how I can find them. And that is a really nice feature. Second of all, if I am using the checklists in Clio, so they used to be called workflows, but if you go over to settings and you'll see checklists and campaigns, this is where I can create a workflow, right? Similar to Clio manages task lists. And so if I want to create something like that, then I can do that. I can click on this workflow. I can edit that workflow, go into one of these tasks, and it tells us right here, we can either assign the task to a particular person, or we can leave it blank, and then it will default to users that are assigned to the matter I put it in. Okay, so that might be a nice feature, right? Because now I don't have to assign all these tasks to the right people. I can just put it in the matter and it will be assigned to whoever the matter is assigned to. So that is a nice feature that enables me to kind of be a little more flexible with my checklists or with my workflows. And then the last way that that assignment gets used in Clio Grow is that when I get assigned to a matter, and maybe some of you have had this experience where I'll receive an email saying you were assigned to this matter. Also, I will also get emails for pretty much everything else that happens in that matter, it feels like. Anytime a document goes out, anytime a form goes out, anytime a form is submitted, anytime an email goes out requesting payment, any of those communications, if I'm assigned to that matter, then I'm going to get a copy of that communication that goes out to the potential new client. Unfortunately, right now in Clio Grow, there is no way to adjust those notifications, turn off those notifications. I'm by default going to get those notifications if I'm assigned to the matter. Now, of course, I can always in my email program try to filter those out, so that might be an option for you. But to me, this notification or the frequency of these notifications really is not a pro. It's really it adds up to a con in my list, because I feel like that's just way more notifications than I need. So I wanted to put that out there because I think it depends on how your firm is structured and organized as to whether or not you want to go ahead and get these notifications and have these assignments. So the reason I say that is because if I'm working in a firm where we have a dedicated intake person, then I might be much better off just assigning that dedicated intake person to these matters, because then they're the ones that are going to get the notifications, the tasks are going to be assigned to them to follow up on things. And so that might be a much better process to go through. Now, if I do want to know who the consulting attorney is or who the attorney is that had talked to that client, I can always create a custom field to track that information. Of course, a custom field won't allow me to filter in that pipeline view. So there are a couple of things to take into consideration when I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to be assigned to a matter. But generally speaking, I'm leaning towards not assigning attorneys to these matters, because I feel like it's a much better role for that assistant or intake person to be able to get those notifications. They're going to become much more handy for them, because they're going to need to do things once forms come in, once things get signed. It's going to trigger them to do things. Whereas as the attorney, I may not want all those notifications and they're not as helpful to me. So I would highly recommend that if you are assigned to matters, you reconsider who you're assigning, why you're assigning them, and if it's to get notifications, that's an awesome, awesome benefit of the assignment. So please keep doing that. If it's to set those filters, that's great. If it's for a default on those checklists, sure, that can work out well. But again, do consider how many notifications you need as the consulting attorney or whatever role you're holding within your intake process. Thanks for joining me tonight. Have a great evening.